Development in the Bosasa saga, Angelo Agrizzi is suing Gavin Watson's nephew Jared for defamation. But Jared Watson is calling this utter nonsense, saying it's just a distraction from the criminal charges facing Agrizzi. Well, the Watson family, which owns African Global Operations, formerly known as Bosasa, has opened a case of theft, money laundering and fraud against Agrizzi, who's the company's ex-COO. Our reporter, Gavin Watson, has some exclusive news on this issue. Gavin, it is getting like a he said, she said. Just tell us exactly where we are so far and what's happened today.
Yeah, so Jared Watson is calling a defamation suit being pursued by Angelo Agrizzi a distraction from the criminal charges. So on Wednesday we were outside the Krugersdorp police station. That's where Jared Watson was laying these charges of theft for 37 million rand that he claims Agrizzi and his associates stole from Bosasa. And it's come to emerge that 2 days before Jared Watson went to the police station, he received a summons from Angelo Agrizzi for this defamation suit. And that's because Jared Watson had said if there was any foul play in the death of Gavin Watson, the only person he could suspect was Angelo Agrizzi. And it's on that basis that Agrizzi is taking this action, saying that Watson has insinuated that he was behind the death of Gavin Watson. I spoke to Jared Watson a bit earlier. Let's have a look at how he described the summons that was served on him.
The timing of it is quite suspicious. It was sent to me 2 days before I was to open criminal charges against him at the Krugersdorp police station. I would imagine that he was aware that was my intention, and that this is done to muddy the waters, to create a perception that was done in response to this, which it wasn't. It was a 300-odd page document, and it was compiled over a substantial length of time, and it's merely me performing my professional duty in completing aspects of a forensic investigation that's taken the better part of a year. It has nothing to do with this defamation suit, which I believe is absolute nonsense.
Does Jared Watson stand by his allegations, suggestions that Angelo Agrizzi might have had a hand in Gavin Watson's death?
He does, and he wants the police to investigate it substantially, not backing down and saying that everything that Agrizzi is suing him for are claims that he intends to prove once this matter gets to court. And his suspicions emanate from an admission by Mikey Schultz that Agrizzi had asked him to do a hit on Gavin Watson, and the movement of Gavin Watson's cell phone after Gavin Watson had died. Jared Watson telling us that they had traced the cell phone and it moved from Germiston to Bryanston, and Jared Watson saying that those two places are where Angelo Agrizzi has a business and where he stays, and he wants the police to look into it. Let's have a look again at what Jared Watson had to say.
Well, I can't say he's a suspect, but just as I said, the fact that in April of last year, in March of last year, Agrizzi requested to return to Bosasa, and he wanted to come back and run the company as the CEO. When his offers weren't accepted in April of last year, he then, according to the reports that are in the media, he then approached Mikey Schultz and requested that he seriously assault Gavin. That was in April of last year. So we have a history of when he doesn't get what he wants, he decides to take matters into his own hands.
And all this against the backdrop of the startling testimony we heard from Angelo Agrizzi at the State Capture Commission, where he painted the picture of Bosasa as an utterly corrupt organisation. Of course, that's one side of the story. So this is still very much up in the air, isn't it?
Indeed, but amidst all of this, remember, Bosasa is undergoing liquidation, and even though Jared Watson has cast doubt on the testimony of Angelo Agrizzi, there was some merit in what he said at the State Capture Commission, because we know some government departments have cancelled their contracts with Bosasa, and the liquidation is at a stage now where the liquidators were in the Supreme Court of Appeal today. That's because the previous liquidators, Cluta Murray, had attempted to appeal the decision to suspend the initial liquidation. So there's a lot of confusion around what's happening with Bosasa. The clarity is that the workers still haven't been paid. The status of those contracts are under dispute at this stage. And now we have a feud between the Agrizzis and the Watsons in the middle of all of this.
Oh my word, what a mess. Thank you very much for bringing so much clarity to that. That's our reporter, Gavin Watson.